Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Open Range. My name is Patrick Hart, and I'm here with a couple of good friends. But I wanted to first of all thank Gary Emneth for the opportunity to host a show and to potentially show some of the viewers what the left-aligned thinking in politics is, which is maybe where the show will go today. Also thank our sponsors who are gracious enough to give us this airtime. And a little bit about me, and maybe you got sick of hearing this if you watch every week, but my name is Patrick Hart. I grew up on a small town farm in the middle of a dirt field. And I often wondered why a small town's boy, son of two introvert farmers, would end up in the political arena here on TV in front of you. And for the longest time, I couldn't quite figure that out. And then I realized that that's maybe where our politicians should come from. With the dirt in their toes, smelling the harvest in the air at night, and, attending Little League ball games and street dances. This week, we'll want my introductory just to let you know that if you think our government can do better, if you wake up thinking that, if you wake up questioning what you're seeing on TV, then I do too. And if maybe aligning or listening to a Democrat isn't your normal thing, then just, say hi. Come and engage with any of our candidates across the state and come to your first event, and maybe it won't be as scary as you think it is. For the meantime, today we have two lovely people with us. We have John Pederson running for our PSC 6-year term, and Lynne Lafer-Halvorson running for House in District 35. John, Lynne, how are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So that was a little bit about who I am. Lynne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was raised in Ohio and Washington, and I also lived out in the country, about 3 miles out of town. We didn't farm, but I know what farming is sort of like. We lived somebody else farmed our land for us, and ended up moving out to Washington State because of my father's career. And we're an academic family, so my parents are professors at Washington State University, and I married twice, and both of whom are also academics, different universities, and that whole association took me around the country. So I've ended up living in 7 different states and 2 countries, and I personally pursued a teaching career myself, and then it was the 70s, and things were happening. And so I ended up getting involved in all kinds of other activities too, a lot of political things, organizing and agitating. And somewhere along the line, I did finish my degree. And since that time, following my husband's careers, I've ended up having lots of different jobs. And I have what I call my mini careers. And my mini careers were everything from running 2 small businesses to being a real estate agent. I earned a certificate in trauma counseling. So I've done quite a bit of that for about 5 years. And I was a book editor and a publicist, lots of different things. And I ended up finishing up my teaching career for 18 years down in Standing Rock at the middle school down there. I taught history, civics, geography, and occasionally culture.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
John, tell us about yourself.
Well, in some ways, similar to you, Pat, I grew up in small town, North Dakota. Most of my childhood was in the town of Hope. And my senior year, my family moved to Walcott, and so I graduated from Kindred High School. I went to graduate school, and after earning my doctorate, I returned to North Dakota, where I had the opportunity to accept a position at Mayville State University, a joint appointment teaching economics and history, and I've had the privilege of teaching there for the past 28 years.
So I find myself at the table with 2 amazingly well-qualified people who spent a lifetime teaching. Although I'm a contractor, I feel like my role in our business is teaching as well. Teaching how to show up on time, how to log your hours, what to do. But on a serious note, I think I spent 8 years in college. Does that come close to 18? And John, how long have you been teaching?
28.
28 years. Oh my gosh. I'll have a couple doctorates by the time I get that one done. So what are your thoughts? Can we jump into school and education? On the way in, I was talking to a friend about how there's been 2 elements of the educational system that have been eroded over the last couple of years. We don't have 2 sciences in a college degree anymore. The general requirements went down. And also, I believe last session, we loosened the regulations on what academics people have in order to teach high school. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Or
I do. It's all changed. We do not want people in our classrooms, especially at the high school level, that are not actually qualified. You know, there's a difference between knowing history and being able to teach what's in your textbook versus actually having studied history, and what we always used to say, to read history. So we're having people coming in who cannot discuss context and perspective. They can get the facts out and they can have the students do critical thinking worksheets, but they don't have what it takes to bring in the context and the perspective. And that's got to change. And we're not demanding enough of our kids. I mean, when you can ask a high school senior to do a one-page, what we call a one-pager, and that's their so-called essay. And back in my day in high school, it was a minimum of 10 pages. And in college, we were doing 30 to 60. And that's all changed. And, you know, we have to get back to what really counts. And that's actual education, not just getting a degree. It shouldn't be a degree mill.
the one thing that I've been really surprised about seeing my kids go through, elementary, middle, and now high school is the late assignments list.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely wasn't a thing when I was in high school. Was it for you guys?
No,
If it's due on Friday, it's due on Friday.
That's
Or you
right.
get a 0.
Yep,
And
that's
I
right.
think when we look at society, accountability comes up a lot. And we're not teaching that to kids because you can turn that in next week.
Yeah.
John, your thoughts on kind of breaking down those requirements for teachers and students?
Well, I have lots of thoughts to share, though they maybe don't directly pertain to the Public Service Commission race. However, I would share that last Friday was graduation at Mayville State University, and one of my advisees, as I was saying goodbye to him and wondering what steps he was following, was talking about how certain rural school districts in the state are so desperate for science teachers that they will hire teaching graduates who aren't science majors, but who have an education credential, for example, to teach science. And so if we're wanting to prepare our children for a future in which we know the importance of understanding science and technology and math is present, we certainly need an educator who is skilled in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely. And I think the approach that the government took to getting teachers to rural North Dakota and in those classrooms is lowering the standards. And in my opinion, and I just saw a poll that North Dakota teacher pay went from 24th to 41st. Why don't we pay these people some more? And try to encourage and retain teachers by sweetening the pot a little bit, because we all know affordability is the key issue in this election cycle.
I would share, Patrick, that one of my former students who's teaching in the Minot area, a gentleman from that community, I asked about my former student, and he said yes, and he's working at Shields. And I said, well, did he quit teaching? He said no, but the school district doesn't pay him enough to get by. And so in addition to teaching, he's working a part-time job at a retailer.
That's interesting, because I want our teachers to be engaged. I want them to have the resources. I'm sure you've heard or have witnessed, gone through personally, the fact that teachers are spending their own money on supplies every cycle. I know that during teacher conferences, me and my wife always try to tip off the teachers, not of course for grades for my kids, but if they're sharing candy, if they're sharing supplies, we should help carry that load. But really it should be the taxpayers, because this is a public education system. And the thing that gets me about it are the little things. You guys are gonna laugh at this. You know that rack of basketballs in the gym that has 16 of those basketballs? Those
Sure.
are like $130 a piece. That's a $2,000 rack of balls, and maybe they're pushing 2 or 3 of them around. And as a sports kid, I appreciated having those. But is that really our priorities? And is that maybe where they should be?
No, no.
Would you guys say education? Have you been hearing a lot of that on the campaign trail, that people are concerned?
I think so. I think there is a growing awareness that parents are realizing their children are not coming. We're not sending them out prepared to do the job. And some of that emphasis is that they come out without industrial arts courses, which we really need to bring back. I personally think we should bring back some form of home economics too, as far as that goes. Civics, that we absolutely have to start introducing civics back into the classroom. And they're coming out not prepared. I mean, they don't really actually have true critical thinking skills. They can fill out a chart, or read a map, and those are very good skills to have, but that's not the kind of critical thinking that we as teachers are thinking in terms of, and we're not doing that. Part of the problem is that the teachers are just so overworked. People don't realize. I mean, I literally put in, and you can ask my husband, 20-hour days for most of the 18 years that I was teaching. And that's just, all of the Mickey Mouse work that comes down from the administration, and it's, the basic prep, and that's just too much. And then to try and work another job, I don't know how people can do it or why people would do that.
Well, and I want to touch on this idea that in society, we say millennials don't know how to fix a house. They don't know how to balance a checkbook.
Right.
They don't know how to, sew a hole in a clothes. But at the same time, the people that are talking about it have been cutting home ec and shop for 20 years. This is Patrick Hart. We're going to throw it to a commercial break. We'll be back with John Pederson and Lynne Halvorson after this commercial break.
So tell us why Noble Gold is the right company to do this in, and how you're different.
Great, Gary, that's an awesome question. It's actually a topic that even Tucker Carlson has covered recently. There's a big whistleblower, a guy named Dale Whitaker, who for years has been pounding the table on how most gold IRA companies, and I won't name any here, but most gold IRA companies, and you can look up the lawsuits online for yourself, are charging clients 30, 40, 50, 100% commissions. In my time here, 6 years, Gary, I've seen it all. I've seen little old ladies get taken for half of their 401ks. I don't know how those guys sleep at night. So with us, we again are investors. We're focused on the client. We don't give the metal away for free. We have to charge a small markup above our cost. Like any business, we have to have a margin for providing a fabulous service. But I'm in the single digits. No one else even gets close to us. What you want are standard, boring, bullion products that you can find and sell anywhere. You want to pay as little as you can per ounce. Of course, some items like smaller coins make sense to have at home, so you pay a little bit more of a premium for those. But we focus on getting our clients the most metal for their money. The more ounces you can accumulate, Gary, the better you'll do, and that's our goal.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Find relief for what ails you at Steepney Tea Apothecary. Teas, supplements, tinctures, and more. Formulated to fight whatever has you down. We're Bismarck Mandan's favorite place to find delicious, natural, and easy ways to alleviate symptoms brought on by anything from colds to cancer. Brew a better you at Steepney Tea Apothecary. Steepney products may cause side effects, including but not limited to improved mood, deeper sleep, enhanced hydration, renewed sense of smell, increased energy levels, superior balance, boosted immunity, proper digestion, restored sense of calm, and a delightful smelling home.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Hello, welcome back to Open Range. My name, of course, is Patrick Hart, and today we have Lynne Halvorson and John Pederson. Now, John, we want to spend some time with you. you're running for the 6-year term on PSC.
Yes, I am.
Now, just if people don't know, there's a 6 and a 2-year term. Can you explain that just briefly?
Well, the Public Service Commission was established to be a 3-member body, each having a 6-year term and rotating every 6 years, so that you have a continuum of knowledge and hopefully expertise serving on the Public Service Commission. What has happened is that the Republican Party has very effectively exploited the Public Service Commission as a launching pad to other office. And so this year, there are 2 seats up for election on the Public Service Commission, and both of the incumbents running for re-election were initially appointed when other people left the Public Service Commission. And so the person I'm running against is now running for a full 6-year term. And the person that Scott Kelch is running against was previously appointed and has not yet been elected in office. And it will be filling out the remainder of a 2-year term.
So I appreciate that, because Jill Kringstead, right, got appointed. She ran the books for the PSC. Now she's a commissioner. Julie Fedorchak left, creating that vacancy. Before that, Brian Crocius went to tax when Ryan Rauschenberger left, but Crocius was appointed in when, Brian Koch went to the EERC. So there's kind of this incumbent trail that the PSC has.
So basically unelected.
Exactly, unelected. So pretty much every election year for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a PSC commissioner or 2 on the ballot who have not been elected. So I'm glad Jill's getting the chance to run and put herself out there. However, I haven't seen her on the campaign trail. Now, I see you last week on Friday or Saturday. You were in town in Lincoln at the
Yes.
Sons of Liberty, which is kind of a strange group for a Democrat candidate.
Indeed, it is.
To be talking with, but I was really surprised at kind of the same tone everyone had. What are your kind of issues with the PSC that puts you into a position to run for office this cycle?
Well, I think when we see these forums, like the forum that I attended in Edgeley back in April, the forum in Lincoln last week, and tomorrow I'll be at a forum in Castleton sponsored by the Dakota Resource Council. People who may be on one end of the spectrum or the other are seeing abuse of power, are reacting to what they consider an arrogance of power, and the potential for corruption. And so I hear many people who were at that Sons of Liberty event speaking against actions made by the previous governor, actions made by the current governor. One family man and landowner from the Mercer County, Oliver County area said, "I feel like we've been sold down the river." And especially, I think we see this with all of the haste and emphasis on data centers and the expansion and establishment of data centers.
So this is the
Go ahead.
This is the Sons of Liberty that were expressing these concerns?
Yes, and people there.
Okay.
And there was one person who I saw when I came into the Tumbleweed Bar and Steakhouse in Lincoln. And I said, "It's nice to see a friendly face." And he said, "Well, thank you, but most of the faces here have been friendly." And I would say that I felt welcomed and politely received by the audience.
Now, John, I got to read something on your intro. Is that okay?
Sure.
Can I take the mic, but I'll make it about you?
Okay.
John, in his bio, says, "My economics background relates directly to the Public Service Commission's work. Rate cases, cost of service analysis, capital allocation, and the economics of regulated monopolies are the daily substance of commission decisions. I will evaluate utility findings critically rather than defer to them. My historical training provides an awareness of the monopoly behavior and how institutions over time may become captured by the corporations they are meant to regulate. Now, when I was at the PSC, they were handing out swag from the entities that we were regulating. So it wasn't abnormal to get a polo or a jacket or a quarter zip that had a mine or an energy company on it during the Christmas party. And I was beside myself. We're supposed to be regulating these people. I was regulating farm. There was no way I would take a, elevator, ball cap, or a coffee mug. Do you think that you can rein in some of that, in each other's pocket behavior that maybe we've seen from the PSC over the last decade or two?
Well, I certainly expect so, and I would certainly hope so. And I know that Lynn is also concerned about ethics broadly in government. And here's a specific example of that. At the state convention, I took the opportunity to define the term regulatory capture for the audience. And the Public Service Commission initially was created in its first incantation to regulate the railroads, which had monopoly power of the economic lifeblood of the communities that were developing in North Dakota. And so the problem becomes when the bodies that are supposed to regulate companies that have the opportunity to profit at the public expense because of the essential services they provide, instead take over the Public Service Commission. Bruce Palmer has done considerable research on the donations to the members of the Public Service Commission and the amount of funding they receive from the agencies they are intended to regulate. And so it would certainly seem to be a conflict of interest. And the public service's job, right, is to provide for the public good, right, to protect the consumers, to protect the public, to protect the environment. And the evidence seems to suggest that the Public Service Commission is serving the interest of the industries they regulate first, rather than the public and the consumers.
Do you have a vision for the state of North Dakota or for your term as Public Service Commissioner once you get elected?
Well, thank you, Patrick, and thank you for emphasizing the positive. And I do, and I would also say we do, because I'm delighted that we have Scott Kelsch running for the 2-year term, a retired firefighter who's had extensive experience in the legislature, including on the taxation committees, the energy committees, and the natural resource committees. And so I'm not just talking about what might happen, but I'm talking about what we can implement, as Scott and I would have a majority on the board.
Well, I hope you get elected. And one thing, so the Public Service Commission, we were regulating grain elevators, auctioneers, which is a strange one, but it is a thing. Abandoned mine lands, we're regulating siting for power lines, which is probably where maybe most of their time happens. Do you have one specific kind of area that you're looking to maybe make a splash or a change at?
So I'm not wanting to say make a splash, but I am wanting to make changes, and including a change of putting the consumer or ratepayer first, and respecting the rights of local people, local residences, property owners who in many areas of the state are feeling that they are being threatened and abused by the hammer of eminent domain.
Well, I was just thinking about where I was going to follow up, ask you, and the question that was on my mind was on eminent domain. So eminent domain allows the government to take land for the betterment of society. And if there's a better term than that, let me know.
For the public good.
For the public good. So
Yes. for the
how do
public
we
good.
define that?
Well, so part of the discipline of economics is how do we make the best decisions? How do we make the optimal decision? And so the textbook answer to which you asked, Patrick, is we should identify as well as possible what are the marginal benefits to the community and weigh them against the marginal costs. Okay? What are the costs incurred to this family, to this landowner, and what are the benefits to the community from an action, from a power line, from a data center, from a pipeline. And it can be very hard to do, but we must start from recognizing the legitimate needs of the local people in the community, and recognizing, right, that they need to be heard and accounted for too.
If we had 30 seconds to pitch why John Pederson is the perfect candidate for the PSC, can I give you that 30 seconds right now?
I would want more. I have spent a professional lifetime working with economics and working with history. And those are two backgrounds that help me recognize both the process of how this should work, right? We need good government, functioning government, to make decisions for the purpose of the public good. The purpose of the public good is to make sure the benefits outweigh the harms. And I also have, right, the angel on my shoulder of history, the weight of history saying the decisions you make are important for the moment, but they're also important for the future and what comes afterwards. And so the two of those combined, I think, give me a very beneficial perspective for the people of North Dakota on the Public Service Commission.
Well, John, you got my vote. We'll be back after this commercial break, talk to Lynn and John more about how we can make waves this election cycle.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Come on in and experience small town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car, whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute. We have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Cassette Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Yeah, U.S. Cattlemen is a member organization that each member has a vote in anything we do with policy. We're representing the independent cattleman or the cow-calf guy or an independent feeder or whatever. We like to support the independent producer. We're talking about mandatory ID. We're talking about cool. We're talking about all the legislation that's going to be coming down with the new administration. There's going to be lots of moving and shaking. So always check us out at our website, uscattleman.org.
We're talking to people today about investments. Let's see if we can get somebody. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a retirement account?
I do. I'm invested in some annuities.
Fixed income? How is that?
It was better a few years ago. Each year it buys less and less, barely keeping up.
That's where gold can make a difference. Unlike fixed payouts, gold rises with inflation, so you're not stuck with a low fixed payment.
So gold isn't stuck in the past like my annuity?
Don't let inflation erode your retirement savings. Invest in gold. Invest with Noble Gold Investments.
I'm $27,000 in credit card debt.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now's not the time to be doing math. The time to be doing math was when we didn't go into $200,000 of debt.
If you are freaked out and you're stuck in these debt payments and you think it has to be a part of your life, it doesn't.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Thanks for making it through another commercial break. My name is Patrick Hart, and I am joined today with John Pederson from PSC and Lynne Lafer-Halvorson. You're running for District 35 House.
I am.
For those out in TV land that don't know where District 35 is, can you just give us a really overview of?
Yeah, it stretches from the interstate, from the interstate on down to, was it Broadway? That area, although there is a chunk that's cut out. So I believe the hospitals are in my district, and the university, the college, BSC is in my district, and we have about over 17,000 households, and mostly residential, but there's some downtown areas as well in the hospitals. So
Last fall, before the snow fell, I was door knocking in District 35, just north of Corpus Christi, and I got a pretty warm welcome. I only had one strange interaction. The gentleman thought it was really strange that in a non-election year, the Democrats were door knocking. And I said, well, we really want to hear from you and get your input. So we've definitely been putting some time and effort in there. How's your campaign been? Have there been any highlights or lowlights?
It's all been very fascinating. It's way different than being a teacher or being a businessman, I can tell you that. It's been really fun to talk to people. Haven't had a chance to do a lot of door knocking. I did earlier last fall. I was doing some for another project, and it is interesting what people have to say. And their concerns are what we would expect them to be, which is the cost of living. Everything has gone up so high, and families in particular are struggling. I think the senior citizens are struggling, and something needs to be done somehow. We as a state, I think we owe it, like we talked about the common good. The common good is not to see our small businesses and our family farms go under. That's not in the best interest of anybody. And I think families that are strong are also going to be working families, and we need more workers in this state. So we need to do something to support them, to strengthen them, and to give them a future.
No, you've been in kind of the private sector for many years, 18 years, I remember, as a teacher. What was the impetus? What was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you get involved, to step into the candidate life cycle and to become active?
Yeah, well, I've always been interested in politics, and I did teach civics, and that made me even more fascinated. Never thought I'd have a chance to run as a candidate for anything. And so when the opportunity came up, it was like, I'm at that time in my life now when I am comfortable with speaking out, and I'm comfortable with being an advocate for the people who have given me so much. And I do feel like it's time that I give back in whatever way I can. And I'm real concerned about the way our country is going, where the gaps are. And I think I can bring a lifetime of experiences, and work experiences in particular, to trying to make I hate to use this tried and true phrase, but to make a difference. So that's really wasn't any one epiphany moment. It was really just gradually coming to that realization that if they want me, and apparently they did, then I will step up and do what I can to win this election.
If we had to tell the viewers out there in TV land what your vision is for the state of North Dakota, what impacts you want to make, what would we tell them?
I think the common good. To me, government is for the people, by the people, forgot the phrase exactly, of the people. And we need to address that. It's not about big business. It's not about corporate America. And it's not about ego. It is about what is best for the people. And if the government doesn't serve the people, then we don't need the government. So that would be my vision. We don't want to have a welfare state. That's not what we want. But we do want people to be in positions of strength so they can then go on and serve the community as a whole. So that would be, I would say, would be my vision.
What's been a highlight of something on the campaign trail? Were you lucky enough to be in the Band-Aid parade last week?
I was. That probably was the highlight, actually. That was really fun. And we didn't have a lot of time to talk to people, but it was fun to see their smiles when we would walk up with our little cards and you know, we were handing out some candy and people, it was a fun day to be an American. And so, yeah, that was definitely a highlight.
Beyond parade season, what have you been hearing out on the campaign trail? Have you done any interaction with people at campaign stops, or there was an event a couple weeks ago at Apple Creek? What are the people saying?
Yeah, we're just beginning that process. Actually, we've been spending months training. You know, we're trying to read up on the issues and to establish our infrastructure for the campaign. But to the extent that I have been able to get out, and I belong to a lot of organizations, and I go to just about every community event there is. If I find out about it, I am there. And it is what I said earlier. It's the cost of living. This is really driving people nuts. They're very, very concerned. You know, right now we're kind of sort of doing okay. Some families not so much, but we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know how much worse it's going to get. And I know the seniors are particularly concerned about what is going to happen next, because we don't know. The economy is weakened and it's unstable, and we just can't predict. And so I think we're all beginning to feel like we're living on the edge. And that has to change.
Well, it's something that I've thought that people would ask me, you know, why North Dakota? Why do you live there? And I feel like historically in my lifetime, during the dot-com boom in 2008, and again, kind of after the 2013 dip, North Dakota has seemed to be counter-cyclical to the nation. If the nation had a housing crisis in 2008 and had a significant downturn, at that time, oil was $120 a barrel, agriculture was strong, and we managed to kind of outperform the nation. However, I'm concerned now with the recession because oil is temporarily strong. It doesn't seem like there's new drilling and exploration in the Bakken. And it seems to me like the farm is really hurting right now. So I'm very concerned about the economy because I don't know if North Dakota can kind of float above the rest. What are some things that you're maybe seeing or proposing that we do to help alleviate some of this affordability crisis that we're having?
Well, I always go back to the basics. And for me, that's housing. If you don't have a place that you can call your home, that you can, take pride in, I don't know how you find the emotional strength to, move beyond and try and get a job and work hard and do all those things. So I would start with housing. And I think apparently there is a program in place. I think it's called the Housing Incentive Program, which I gather works, but it doesn't work enough. It's not affecting enough people. We need to expand that. That's one of the things. I don't know what all is in it, but I would assume, or I would hope, that what's in it would be things like streamlining the permitting process and offering low cost, low financing options. I know my husband, my second husband that is here in Bismarck, when he first came back in 1974, I believe it was, he and his wife at that time and their 4 children got a loan for like 5% down. And that's what allowed them. He was a new professor with NDSU working at the research facility, and he was able to get a 5% down, and it was very low interest rate, and that's what allowed him to get into a home. And we need to offer that, make sure that everyone is capable of getting into that. That would be, something we could start with.
I absolutely agree. I love the community that I live in. I love the fact that I get to go home to a house that is more mine now than when I bought it. Of course, it seems like for the first couple of years, you're drowning in interest until you start chipping away at that. But I really think that having that home and putting those roots down gives people a sense of community and unity. I have down, can I pivot you really quick?
Sure.
I have down on your bio that a priority is to encourage transparency and accountability by fully funding, granting authority, and expanding the capacity of the Ethics Commission. Now, in all honesty, when I read that last night and this morning, I wrote down a couple examples of, Jason Doctor self-dealing, Julie Fedorchak wanting to self-deal a well with the CO2 injection. Of course, what happened with Ray Holmberg is absolutely unacceptable. Ryan Roshmerger and Emily O'Brien self-dealing contracts. So we have this ethics commission. If we don't fund it, is there a purpose of having it?
No, and right now, as I understand it, this Republican supermajority has no oversight of any kind. They seem to be self-monitoring themselves, and that's not a democracy. I'm sorry, I know enough about civics to know that that is not a democracy. And so there has to be transparency. We have the right to know how our money is being spent and how the values that we have are being reflected through our state. And right now that apparently is not happening. So the Ethics Committee is a good place to start. And right now, I do know that it is not fully funded. I think I've got like one person, 2 or 3 people doing all of the complaints, and they are way behind in the citizen complaints, and which means that citizens are not even having a voice. I mean, if their complaints are sitting on the Ethics Commission docket for 1, 2, 3 years, that again is not the citizens' voice. That's not of the people and by the people and for the people. So that has to be addressed. We need to fully fund the Ethics Commission, and we have to give them the authority that they need. One of the things apparently is that they do not have a working document of what constitutes appropriate and inappropriate behavior on the part of the legislators, and I assume probably the state officers as well. And so that appears to be something that we need to address as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if people are in office, they should be representing, to their highest.
I can't understand why anyone who takes an oath to the federal and state constitution would oppose an ethics commission.
I know. I agree.
I think that's really telling.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, and that's one of the things I have been hearing from people too. People are suspicious. There's a growing degree of suspicion about just what's the state government really up to. We hear about these data centers that are coming in and they're not being regulated and restricted. And we hear about, the scandals that are being covered up. And we hear about the presidential library. There's something going on there that, kind of should raise people's eyebrows. And so, people are growing suspicion. And you cannot have a functioning democracy or a society when everyone's running around going, I don't know whether I dare look over my shoulder or not.
Right. Meanwhile, Harold Ham's daughter is now getting paid by the state government on a board.
Yeah.
What the heck? Let's keep it local, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing too. We need to keep our state money in our state. We should have corporations, if they're going to be out-of-state corporations, they need to give back. They need to be paying our taxes. They need to be hiring our people. They need to keep the money in our state, not have it be going out to somewhere else.
That's great discussion. We'll be back after this commercial break with Lynn and John.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza. Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
Welcome back to Open Range. My name is Patrick Hart. I'm here today with the Democratic Public Service Commission candidate, John Pederson, running for the 6-year term, and Lynne Halvorson running for House in District 35, which is kind of core Bismarck. John, you got a couple campaign points you want to share with us?
Yes. So the framework of my campaign, my first point is to put ratepayers and consumers first. And as the Public Service Commission carries out its functions, I want to respect and recognize local control. Right? North Dakota landowners and property owners should have a voice in and input on what crosses their property. And I want to emphasize for the Public Service Commission to encourage and support energy development done right. And energy development done right includes responsible decommissioning. If a business benefits from using North Dakota's resources, right, they need to clean up what's left behind. They're responsible for what they've done. And that's not burdensome regulation, that's good stewardship. The day I received my nomination at the Democratic Convention, I met a gentleman who told me about farm ground in coal country at which the coal has been mined, but the coal company has not yet reclaimed the land that they promised to do, because I was told from the perspective of the landowner that it's cheaper for the company to pay the nuisance fines that they receive rather than reclaim this man's farmland. I believe that's wrong, right? And I would not tolerate fines at such a level that the company doesn't do what they promised to do. I also heard of a rancher in coal country whose land has been impacted by alkaline in the soil, damaging the water, right? Those rights need to be respected. I've spoken with a landowner in the eastern part of the state who lost thousands upon thousands of dollars because his neighbors objected to a wind farm, and a wind farm that would have generated $900,000 a year in tax revenue for the county, right? But people opposed to the wind power were able to vote it down. You were mentioning housing, and the weekend of the Apple Creek gathering, there was the People's Session held in Bismarck, and all of these things interrelate. I just remember being impressed by a young gentleman speaking there who says, I make $17 an hour and I can't afford to live in Bismarck. And then hearing about the cost of housing, cost of gas, and the cost of electric rates. On the Public Service Commission, we have an opportunity to do something about electric rates. We also have something to do to help an expansion that might contribute to housing prices lowering and economic expansion. But the notion that places where people often in the past found affordable housing, like trailer courts, I was astonished to hear that in the western part of the state have all been bought up by out-of-state corporations, right? Limited oversight and the rates going up. So I want to be fighting for the consumer and the ratepayer. I am not the advocate for the monopoly that is supporting and endorsing the incumbents. I will be fighting for the ratepayers first and to keep electric rates as low as possible.
I love it. Yeah, I was in a trailer in my first house when I went to college. My lot rent was $125 or $150 a month. Now I'm hearing it's closer to $800.
Just for the plot.
Just for the plot, not even the mortgage, the insurance, the taxes. So there is an affordability crisis, and it's disproportionately hurting the people that are making, a scrape by living, or the people who are on fixed income.
Yeah, I volunteer or had been volunteering down at the ministry on the margins, and quite a few of the people that were coming through that I had the pleasure of meeting were actually working. They were working full time, but they were not able to keep up with the rents of their apartments, and so they found themselves living on the streets. Now, how can we, as a society, the wealthiest nation in the world, how can we justify that? We cannot. And there are things that we can do. We actually do have common sense, good ideas that are proven to work, where we could just use our collective resources to change our priorities, set our priorities with the people, rather than, we should be more about caring rather than profiting.
Absolutely. No, and we were discussing before we went on that I personally had a perspective change, that I quit worrying about money almost 10 years ago. And my focus has been on relationships, and let's run the government like that. Let's run the government focusing on people. There is the money out there. We just approved $500 million for a corporate welfare pipeline. And, is there going to be some good from that? There probably will be. But as long as corporations are making billions of dollars in profits, people are struggling. I don't know why we can't focus the efforts of the government to help those in need, those who aren't trying to buy a second boat or a third house, those people that are just trying to scrape together a living for them and their families. So you guys have been out on the campaign trail for, I think you have 100 days left.
We do.
We get to the 100-day deadline already?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. We just had our 100th. In fact, we took a picture. Look for it. We have it out on our social media. We just completed our 100th day since we were endorsed. So we took a selfie. It was yesterday, and that was fun. And so we're still pumped, as they say.
Can you kind of speak to some of that energy? So you're representing kind of Bisman Dems, District 35.
Right.
We have a full slate of candidates in Bisman.
Yeah, we do, for the first time apparently in quite a few years. And so, yeah, all 15 of our positions here in the Bismarck Mandan area, we do have a Democratic candidate for, and we have a amazing campaign strategist, campaign manager who got us all organized, and he knows what he's doing. He's a former Deputy Secretary of State, I believe, among other things. So he's got us organized, and we're what am I trying to say? We're just very, very organized, and we're very, very excited. We're very committed to winning the election, and we want to get out and meet people. We're going to start our door-to-door here. I think it's another couple weeks, and we want to get out and talk to people, find out what you need, and figure out what your priorities are. And then those will become our priorities. Right now, we have a general framework, but we need to know what you guys think.
John, you're also on a full slate of statewide candidates. Can you kind of speak to the statewide team that you guys have put together, or that the other people you're running with?
I am impressed with the individuals that I met in the Bismarck-Mandan Democratic NPL party when I heard the candidates speak. And I am also impressed with the candidates that we have running statewide. Vern Thompson for agriculture has had extensive legislative experience, and he has gone through the pain of the farm crisis in the 1980s. And he is out and meeting people from all walks of life out here in the central part of the state, the western part of the state, the southern part of the state. We have Tim Lamb for Attorney General, Ryan for Senator Ryan, who is running for a Secretary of State. And I am really grateful to be running with Scott Kelsch, who is running for the other Public Service Commission. At two previous forums, we've had the public service candidates and the Secretary of State candidate and Secretary of Agriculture candidate. And we will be having a town hall in Washburn on the 28th of May at the Lewis and Clark Center. And so I hope to get to see some more people from this part of the state. And at these previous forums we've had, I wish it would happen earlier in the agenda, but we have what we call reverse town hall. And that is we just simply stop at the platform and let the people in the audience talk to us. And it's not even just questions, though questions come up. It is talk to us and tell us what the concerns you are. And that's been very enjoyable and enlightening.
No, Lynn, we only got about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes left. I'm sorry, I skipped over a question.
That's okay.
I'll humble myself on that. Can you give us just a couple minutes on why a voter would want to elect you this fall?
Yeah, sure. Well, for one thing, I feel like I have something to bring to the table. I do have a lot of work experience, a lot of life experience. I've been around for a long time. And like I said, I have lived in many states. I've had known the most amazing people, very accomplished, substantial people of substance. And I feel like I can bring that, to my work. I also am truly interested in having purposeful, meaningful conversations with people. It's as a teacher, that just kind of comes in, that's just my nature, is to understand what the kids are thinking. And I want to know what my neighbors think. And I do value your advice. I want to know what you want. And like I said before, your values, your priorities would become my priorities. And I also, as a teacher, I know how to ask the right questions. I know how to find out the right people to ask the right questions. So I will be questioning what's going on with the Public Service Commission and all the other, and all of the different things that are going on. And I think I would just conclude by saying, I will fight for priorities, your priorities, and I'm brave. I will stand up and face the challenge of confronting these other legislators who have far more experience than I do, and probably have a lot of chips that they have accumulated over the years. And I will be going in without any chips. But that has never intimidated before. I've stood up to school boards, and I've stood up to principals and superintendents, and I'll stand up for you.
Well, I appreciate that, Lynn, and I appreciate your time today, John. This is Patrick Hart, and just wanted to say thanks for Beck and our sponsors, and Gary Emneth for giving us this couple moments. Appreciate you. See you soon.